Okay, this is part 2 of my explanation of how to create a loan calculator and reducing balance table. In part 1 I went through the loan calculator part. I'm now going to talk about the reducing balance table. So you can see the headings that are set up here, and these are the headings for the table that you've got in your text in the notes that I handed out. You can do a bit of formatting on it. You might go and make those bold or put some capitals on it. That's just up to you. Alright, now let's start with the months column. We know that in this particular case our loan is for 30 years, 12 payments a year. So that means we're going to have 360 months down here. You think, oh goodness, do I have to type 1 to 360 all the way down here? Well, no, you don't, because what you can do, and just to illustrate, I'll just delete the numbers that are here. Actually, I won't delete all of them, I'll just delete some of them. Oops, here we go. Alright, so let's suppose I just delete the first 10 here. Right, how do you get Excel to automatically fill in these numbers? Well, here's how you do it. Type in number 1 for the first month, type in number 2 for the second month. Then drag over those two cells. Now what Excel is going to do is it's going to see that there are two numbers here, and the second number was obtained by adding 1 to the first number. So we're now going to tell Excel to keep adding 1 all the way down, and the way to do that is to take your mouse and put this little cross over the bottom right hand corner until it turns into a black cross. Then press and hold your left mouse key and then drag down, and watch what happens. There you go, it does it automatically. So you just have to do that all the way down to 360. Well, actually, I'll show you something even quicker in a minute. Alright, so that's how you get the months. Now, amount owing at the start of the month. Alright, so my loan amount currently is 500,000. Don't type 500,000 here. What you need to type, you can see it up here, is that you need to enter this cell here. Now, how would you do that if that number wasn't there? Let's delete this cell and leave it blank. Don't worry about everything else. Everything else has gone wrong now because this cell is empty. We can quickly fix it. Alright, so I want to enter cell C2 because that's where the loan amount is currently entered. So I enter equal sign. Equal sign tells Excel that there's some kind of formula coming up. And then I simply click on cell 2. And then I hit enter. That simply told Excel to type in whatever was in cell C2, type it into this cell here, cell B12, which it did. Now we keep going across. We want to calculate the interest that the bank charges in 1 month on a loan of $500,000. Alright, so here we use our simple interest formula. Here's the formula up here. Don't worry about the dollar signs for a minute, I'll explain that shortly. So, how do we work it out? Well, interest, according to the formula, remember, interest is simply equal to, here's the simple rate interest formula, I equals P RT divided by 100. P is the principal, R is the interest rate, T is the time period. And the divide by 100 converts the interest rate to a decimal. That's the formula that we're going to enter into this cell here. We don't enter the I bit, we just enter the equals PRT times 100. Divide by 100. Okay, here we go. So let me delete this and I'll enter it. So, equal sign to tell Excel that a formula is coming up. Principal, where's the principal cell? There. So I click on C2. times, that is the asterisk key, which is above the 8. Interest rate, that's this cell here, cell C3. What's the time? Well, the time is simply 1 month. So I actually don't have to times, times by, well, I don't have to put this in, times by 1, it's just 1 month. And then divide by 100 equals, and that's wrong. And that's because time is in years. And so what I should have done is gone 1 divided by 12. And that's much better. Alright, so just to clarify, the interest rate formula has time in years. So 1 month is 1/12 of a year. So we've multiplied by 1/12. And then I've divided by 100, which is just converting the interest rate to a decimal. Alright, so there is my answer. Don't like all those decimal places there, so I'll get rid of those. Go up to the ribbon at the top here and click on the decrease decimal button, and that's much better. Alright, there's my interest formula. I'm going to come back to that formula shortly. Next one, total amount owing. Well, you owe 500,000. You now owe an extra 2,041.67 because the bank's charged you interest. So your total amount owing is simply that 500,000 plus 204,167. So again, you enter that as a formula, and there's the formula up there. Equals, click, so you just type it out. Let me do it again. Sorry. So just go equals amount owing B12 plus interest charged there. Hit enter. Hitting enter tells Excel you've finished entering the formula. There it is. Done. Repayment. Well, that's this number that we worked out up here using the PMT formula in the last video. So again, I do not type the actual number. All I do is I go to this cell here and I just go equals C6. So I would just go, let me do it. I just go equals and then hit that cell there, hit enter, and done. Again, there's these mysterious dollar signs that have disappeared because I haven't entered them yet. I'm going to come back to those in a second. Amount owing at the end of the month. Oh, well, that's easy. That's just the total amount owing, which is here, minus what you've just paid off, your monthly repayment. So again, you enter the same kind of formula. Equals, then hit D12 minus E12, hit enter, and your formula is entered. Okay, so that's how much you owe at the end of the month. Slightly less than what you owed at the start of the month. That number now gets transferred over to beginning of month number 2. And again, you do that by formula. You simply go, I want this number here to be equal to what's in F12. So you simply type equal sign F12, hit enter, and there it is. Now, here's the interesting part. We get to the next one and you think, well, this is all well and good, but this is getting a bit tedious. Do I now have to enter the interest rate formula again? I'm going to have to do that 360 times. And the answer is no, you don't. What you do is you do this little clever drag down trick that I showed you with the months. However, there's a little catch to it. What happens when you drag down is that, well, look at this formula here. You see it's got C2 times C3. Okay, now actually that's not a good idea. I would much prefer this to be, I'm going to amend this formula. I would much prefer this to be B12. Why did I do that? Well, it's the same number. Okay, B12, same number as in C2. But the interest rate in the next cell is going to be updated, and I'm working on someone else's here, a previous student, and I now see that they've made a big error because they shouldn't be using C3 all the way through. Alright, so what do? Now I'm going to drag down in a minute. I'm just going to drag down one cell. But before I do that, I need to address this issue of the B12 and the C3. When I drag down, that B12 is going to automatically change into B13. And that's good. That's what I want. It should be B13 in here. Let me try it just by dragging down. Alright, so see how it changed to B13. That's good. But something bad has happened. When you look up here, it was B12 times C3. C3 is the interest rate. And that doesn't change. That's the same every single month. But when I drag down, this cell, this C3 here changed to C4. Not good. I want to leave it at C3. So sometimes we want these cells to change and sometimes we don't. When we don't, we put dollar signs in front of it. Hit enter. There. So I've got B12 times C3 fixed. C3 is fixed, always going to be 4.9. It's not going to shift down these cells here. So now when I drag, I get the right answer. B12 is turned into B13. I'm now working out the interest rate on this amount. That's my new principal. The interest rate R hasn't changed. It's still 4.9. I'm timesing by a 12th, and I'm dividing by 100. All good. This one here, up here it says B12 plus C12. When I drag down, look at that. It changes into B13 plus C13, which is exactly what I want. So I don't have to change anything there. Repayment. Well, repayment is this number here. It's always in the cell C6. So I do not want that to change when I drag down. So I put my dollar signs in to tell Excel that always put in cell C6 when I'm dragging down. There. You see it's got dollar signs there. Amount owing at the end of the month, D12 minus E12, that's good. Drag down, turns into D13 minus E13, also good. Right, now that everything is set up, what you do is you drag you get the first two rows, and then you can drag the whole lot. You can just drag it all the way down to 360. Here we go, there we go, 360. And I've made a mistake. That is not right. What's gone wrong? Okay. Back here. Back here. Alright, let's undo everything. 12. 13, that's right. Okay. Okay. Anyway, well that's, once you get those dollar signs right, then everything